Testing. Check. Check, check. Check, check.
What we do here is go back.
Check, check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Testing, testing. Alright, we are live. Alright, so tonight has been a huge challenge and a big experiment for me because I've done a little bit of planetary observations, but Mars has always been very, very tricky for me. And I'm trying some new gear tonight. This is the first run on a ZWO ADC, or an atmospheric dispersion corrector, and it seems to be doing the job, but apparently there's something going on with the scope. It's like really, really shaky. There doesn't seem to be any wind or anything, so I'm really kind of curious to what it is. Let me bring up the scope view for you here. Okay, so this is actually Mars, and you can see the wobble that we've got, and I believe I'm actually focused, but for some reason we've got this strange wobble going on. So if anybody knows what's going on here, if they've seen this before, you know, if this is like maybe a tracking mount thing, or it doesn't seem to be wind. I don't think that we really have any wind tonight. So I'm really curious to what this is. I'm tempted to slew to a different planet, maybe Jupiter. Just to kind of see if it will do the same thing. Let me check and see if Jupiter is actually up right now. All right. Let's see. That's curious. It might be worth trying that, just to kind of see if that would actually fix the wobble. But let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. We're at 480p, which is really about, I think, as good as we're going to get as far as any clarity. Let me go up to 360. Yeah, you can just barely make out the polar ice cap on the top, and you can kind of see some different color variation. There's kind of that big orangey area in the middle. But we are not going to get a clear view with this kind of wobble tonight. And I have actually, with all the astrophotography I've done, I've never seen it do something like this. So I'm really curious if anybody anybody with more experience can tell me what that might be. Maybe we can solve it together here. So okay, so we've got Stan at Two Rivers Observatory, and he looks like he's confirming that is a mount issue. All right, let's see here. I wonder if it would be worth trying to go to Jupiter and then back to Mars. It's always kind of a tricky thing when you're doing planetary, but it might be worth a try. The mount that we're using is the ZWO AM3, and it's not necessarily maxed out on weight, but I am running it with counterweights. Okay, so Stan says from Two Rivers Observatory says try it even to a bright star. So all right, let's give it a go. I'm a little concerned that it might not plate solve, but let's see. Let's try Pollux here, which is fairly close. So planetary is always kind of a gamble, you know, especially when you're trying new gear, and might have to adjust the exposure here. Might not sync. Tracking is on. It might actually be worth turning it off and then turning it back on. Of course, whenever you're on the planet, a lot of times it won't track just because it's your guide scope won't track because it's so bright. But it might be worth a try. And it doesn't look like it's actually slewing. That's a problem. So I'm going to turn off tracking for a second and then turn it back on, and then try again to go to Pollux here. Huh. I was afraid of that. It's having a difficult time plate solving, and what that means is it's looking for several stars, and it will match that grouping of stars to like a database of stars that it kind of does the trigonometry and matches that to, and it can usually tell where it's at in the sky. But normally it'll do that within just like a few seconds. So there must be something going on with the mount. So I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna just take a quick exposure just to see if there's any kind of focus issue. it's always a challenge, but you know, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? But it's that's what I love about it. Is it is a challenge, and there's always something new to try and test, and always something new to see out there. So you know, according to how adventurous you are, there's always something to look at and challenge yourself with. Let's try this again. It definitely looks like there's some kind of tracking issue, because if I'm getting star trails with just 5-second exposures, there's definitely something going on. That is really odd. All right, well, I guess that means going back to home position and try to resync the GPS, which is about the best thing that I know to do, but I think that's what we're going to have to do here. So we're going to go back to the home position. The only other thing that I can think that it might be is maybe when I was adjusting the ADC, you know, it kind of threw off the alignment a little bit, but usually it doesn't throw it off that much. It's possible that I bumped the scope, or you know, something like that. I don't know. All right, so let me check our GPS coordinates. Okay, so that is a little bit off. Do that. Like that. All right. Now let's try to go back to Pollux. Grundle Stiltskin, it is a tinkerer's hobby for sure. That is for sure. Okay, come on. You can do it, you can do it. Detected 66 stars. I very well might have to sort of restart the mount itself. Hopefully I won't have to reboot everything, but that is of course a possibility, and it looks like it's not going to solve. So, oh boy. Well, so I'm going to stop this. Just do another exposure just out of curiosity to see how far we're trailing. The star trailing, that is. It's, oh gosh, yeah. For 5 seconds, that's almost like it's not tracking at all. So, all right, let's go back to home position, and I guess we're just going to have to reboot everything. So Grendelstilt's going to ask, were you able to plate solve before 4064? Yes, it was plate solving earlier, and basically what I do is I'll use my guide scope to do the polar alignment, and then once I kind of get everything lined up with that, I'll switch it over to the big scope, and normally that does fine. Now that I think about it, I have had the mount do this like maybe once before, like right after I first started using it, but it's been flawless since then. So it's really kind of upsetting. All right, gonna restart here. And I was going to try to do this through either like Nina or Fire Capture tonight. Usually planetary is better with that, but I've got the ASI Air set up for live streaming. I run it through BlueStacks, and I just did not have time to like switch over to Nina. So just one of those things. Ooh. Reopen ASI. Alright, let's try to do that then. Close and reopen. Alright, so having to restart BlueStacks here in the ASI Air. And of course this is going to drastically throw off my polar alignment. So a lot of times you don't need it with, whoa. That's interesting. For some reason it's saying that my focal length, that's really odd. Alright, we're going to try 0, see if it'll automatically reset. And more than likely I'm going to have to repolar align, but so restarted the camera. Sidescape is on. So we're going to just try to go to Pollux. This is probably a huge gamble without kind of repolar aligning, but yeah, I can actually reboot them out. That's probably exactly what I need to do. Affected 71 stars. The other thing that it could possibly be is I'm using a 2x Barlow. I'm using a GSO 2x Barlow, and I haven't really had any problems with it before, but I don't know, it makes me wonder if there's something going on with that. And it looks like it's not going to place off. Alright, I'm going to let this run for about a minute. At a focal ratio of f20, it's very, very tricky to get everything kind of lined up and focused. It always takes a little while, but I've never really had this much trouble. Grundlestiltskin says if the mount wasn't moved, it should be polar line, should be good, right? I can't wait for manufacturers to give us motorized PA. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they can do it with with these smart scopes, and here with these like really high-end mounts and scopes, it's like, you know, why were they not doing this years ago? It's always kind of surprised me why we don't have that. All right. Well, guess I'm gonna cancel this. Let's see what the guide scope is saying here. It goes to another calibration. All right, that looks like Pollux right there. If that is Pollux, we might not be too far off. Sorry, I guess it would help if I actually showed you the view that I'm looking at. So what we're looking at here is the view of the guide scope, and it basically will scan the area for a good guide star, and it kind of locks onto that, and any variation from that particular star, it'll send little pulses to the mount to adjust the tracking. So in theory, it should kind of get us back on. Let's okay, so it's still calibrating. And I just noticed that I had my I keep forgetting to change my my scope specs on the monitor here. So that's definitely, we're definitely not at f1.9 tonight. We're at f20. So greetings to Stan and Pete's Astrophotography, Grundle Stiltskin. Good to see y'all. Two Rivers Observatory. Where is that located at? I always like trying to check in on especially our local observatories to see if they have any kind of like live feed or anything like that. Alright, still calibrating. South step 5, distance 7.9. That's actually, this calibration's taken a while, so it wasn't too far off, but it might be just enough to kind of throw it off. All right, so we are starting guiding. So this graph right here is our guide graph. The red line is our declination angle, and the blue line is our right ascension angle. It's almost like right ascension is kind of like your vertical altitude basically, and the declination is kind of your side to side motion. And you want to, on this particular graph, you want to get the red line and the blue line kind of like right in the center, like hovering over this central line right here. And the closer that it gets to that center line, the more accurate that your guiding and your tracking is going to be. So let's try to take another image here. Well, okay. So it's going through another. Looks like it's trying to do another calibration or something. Okay, so Stan at Two Rivers says Huntington, Nova Scotia. Ah, Canada. Fantastic. Man, I bet it's cold up there right now. Okay, so looks like we are guiding. 0.76, that's not too bad. I'm gonna see if it'll plate solve on Pollux now. So whenever I click on go to, you can see the target position and then the current position in the hours, minutes, and seconds, and then the degrees. So it's basically just trying to match the view that is in your scope with the database of stars and objects that's saved in the acquisition computer. It did find more stars this time, so that's a good sign. $106 stars. Okay, wow. Well, it locked onto Pollux, and I just want to see how well centered this is. So I'm going to put up the crosshairs, do a quick exposure. Whoa. And we're still getting star streaks. Either that or it just started exposing. Actually, let me try that again. Let's just do like a 1 second exposure. What is going on with the guiding tonight? Huh. It's not even giving me the values on the guide cam. Usually, okay, there we go. So 0.26. All right, let's try an exposure now. So the whole reason why I was wanting to try to image Mars tonight is because Mars is in opposition, which basically means it's usually the best time to try to image it. It's going to be the brightest pretty much throughout the whole year that it's going to be whenever it's in opposition like that. And maybe if I would pay attention, I could try one more exposure here. It does look like we're still getting some star streaks, which is really odd. If my total guiding area is only 0.36, I shouldn't have any star streaks. That's really confusing. It's that is really bizarre. Like, how can you have 0.37 total guiding error and still get star streaks? That is really bizarre. So the only thing I can figure, let's see. The only thing I can figure is it must be some kind of yeah, that's a good question. Is the focal length inputted correctly? Let me double check that. Camera looks good. GPS. Okay. So for some reason, it keeps throwing off my my sync to my mount, because that's what it is. That's what it is. So yeah, it's not holding the GPS coordinates. That's what's going on. So let me put this back to the home position, and we'll try to power cycle the actually, let me turn off the guider real quick. Go back to the home position. I'll power cycle the mount and see if that fixes it. You know, one of the other times when I've had problems with a mount not syncing to my location is during the annular eclipse in 2023. We had driven all the way out to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'd set up all this gear, had like multiple mounts, multiple cameras going, and for some reason it just absolutely would not lock onto GPS coordinates. Alright, so power off that. Power the mount back on. Let me re-enter. Re-enter the GPS coordinates. North and west. Just double check this. Alright. Everything else looks good. Let's get this. See if it'll go back to Pollux. So I was Pete's astrophotography says I was looking forward to the Mars opposition, but our weather just isn't playing ball as usual. Yeah, this is like, I can totally relate. The past few weeks here have just been terrible. It's just been, you know, 1 or 2 nights here and there, and then a lot of times it's just a short window. Tis the season though. You know, winter time here can be pretty tough. A lot of times I'm just digging back into the acquisition data and just trying to do some post processing, you know, for winter time. But you would think, you know, with the drier air, and it would be, you know, wintertime would be better, but okay, looks like it's having trouble solving again. Wow, this is really strange. Yeah, I like to reprocess mine too. You know, it's always such a long learning curve. You know, it's a steep learning curve learning something like PixInsight or even, you know, just Photoshop. But you never really stop learning, and so it's always interesting to go back and reprocess those old images. Alright, I'm going to let this cycle through the validation process a couple of times. If it's not going to lock on, I guess I'll have to go out there and like physically turn off the mount and turn it back on. It might be some issue with the ASI air not cycling it properly. Let me double check I'll double check the focal length too. It should have already reset by now. But so the scope that I'm using is the EdgeHD 8, which is 2032 millimeters. With the 2x Barlow, it should be double that, and that's what I always enter. It was focusing fairly well before that shake started. Okay, it did actually lock on here. Let me take a quick 3-second image. Oh wait, let me get the guide scope going. This will start recalibrating, of course. Mars is probably going to be out of opposition by the time I get this up and running. I've got a feeling Jupiter might be. Let's take a look at Jupiter again. Look at that, you can see the great red spot coming around here. I've tried a couple of times to to get one of the moons, transiting the the face, and I've gotten it, I guess, once, or where you could see the shadow of one of the moons. I think it was Io, crossing the face of Jupiter. That's always an interesting challenge to try. Okay, so we're still calibrating on the guide scope. Pete's astrophotography says you have some nice images on AstroBin, by the way. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I try my best to to go for the best image quality that I can for the gear that I have. But I tell you, AstroBin is such an amazing resource. If you're looking to find what's the best scope for your area, what focal length, according to like what targets that you want to shoot, AstroBin is like the place to go. It's such a fantastic resource. And while this is calibrating, let me bring that up and let's see here. AstroBin. Okay, so this is what AstroBin looks like. So you can like enter in like the particular target, or you can enter in like somebody's profile. I'll show you mine real quick. And all of these images are my shots. I'd like to, let me click on this sun image. I'd really like to do some more solar astrophotography and actually do a live stream on that. I have not tried that before, but I think that would be a really interesting challenge. Solar astrophotography is really interesting because it's so totally different than doing like deep sky. The alignment is different. You have to make sure that your scope doesn't do like a meridian flip while you're doing that, because 9 times out of 10 when you're doing solar astrophotography, you're going to be at least close to the meridian. Let's see. All right, let's go back to the ASI Air. See what we got going on. Pete's Astrophotography says, I've recently started doing solar. It's good fun, and there's always something new to see on the surface. Yeah, isn't that the truth? There's, especially now, that we're in solar maximum. Okay, so we're guiding at 0.53 error, so that's not bad. Let's try a quick exposure here. Fingers crossed. Oh, nope. Nope. Alright, let me try to enter in this and see if this makes a difference. I think you're right there. I think this is a mount issue where it's going to take like a complete reboot. Alright, gonna let this settle in on guiding a little bit more. Let's do another exposure. I tell you, it's been a while since I've been completely skunked on a night of astrophotography. When I first started doing any kind of like tracking, I was using like the very first version of the Star Adventurer that came out, and learning how to like manually track and lock on a target. I'll tell you, my hat's off to anybody that that can do that proficiently, because it takes a lot of patience and it takes a lot of skill to get it not just polar aligned correctly, but because you're manually learning the night sky. You know, we've got it easy with these go-to mounts. Just out of curiosity, I'm gonna go to Mars and just see if that shake is still there, if it'll even find Mars. This might be a short live stream tonight if it won't fix after after power cycling the mount. Kieran asked, is this the same issue that had out in Albuquerque? You know, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. When I was trying to get lined up in Albuquerque, it was so far off. It was, you know, I thought it might be like trying to read from like the southern hemisphere or something like that, but I still think that was some kind of like magnetic issue going on. This one is not too far off, but yeah, out in Albuquerque, that was kind of mind-bending. I still have not really figured that out yet. All right, so it's probably not going to plate solve anyway because we're on a planet. So I'm going to stop this. Just do a quick exposure to see if it is on Mars. 3 seconds is going to be awfully bright if it is. It's not too far off. Let's bring down the exposure. So a lot of times, planetary observations, you are kind of just winging it. You know, if you have the opportunity to, say you've got like a week of really good conditions where you can do it, you know, back-to-back nights, you can really get it dialed in, and the process becomes a lot easier, a lot quicker. But man, it has been a minute since I've lined up on one of the planets. There's so many interesting deep sky targets that it's hard to pass those up. Of course, now a lot of the really good stuff is moving off into the southwest and the west. So, you know, it's really more like galaxy season here anyway in the northern hemisphere. At least with my view anyway. My view is mainly I've got like from north east is like really good for me. Over to about the far side of the southwest, I've got relatively clear path. My northwest and west is completely blocked unless I take the telescope all the way into the backyard and set up by the. I live on the lake. If I set up right beside the lake, I get a really good western view. But there's a lot of light pollution, there. So a lot of times it's not worth it. I was able to snag the comet on a western view. Yeah, I've still got. Look at that. See how it's kind of oval shaped? That's exactly what it was doing earlier. So that shake is still present. Let's see if I can even get it to show up on video here. Yeah, it's too far out, I think. Let's see, maybe not. I'll switch back to 1080. Yeah, still too far out. All right, well, this looks like it's going to be a quick power cycle. Yep, I agree. Two Rivers, or Stan at Two Rivers, it's a mount issue. So just bear with me here. I'm going to go try to repower cycle that. Let me go back to the home position. Everything else looks fine. it does look like it's holding the GPS coordinates this time. So, all right, back to the home position. And I forgot to turn off the guide scope. So when I was in Albuquerque for the annular eclipse, I was still able to get good shots of it. I just literally had to like manually keep bumping the the mount with you know, with my phone controller basically, and I was still able to get some good images. But man, eclipses are nerve-wracking. They really are. They are absolutely nerve-wracking. All right, so I'm gonna shut this. Well, let's see. I'll do a restart, and then I'll go out there and repower cycle. So, all right, guys, bear with me 1 second. I will be right back. I'll crank up the music just a little bit for you, and I'll turn off my mic so you won't hear me turning the sky blue out there. I'll be right back. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Yes, it is very cold out there. Astrophotographers can relate to that. All right, so we repower cycled. Man, it's frigid. Okay. Scan for the ASI here. Whoa. Come on. Alright, gotta restart it here. See, Stan from Two Rivers Observatory says, make sure everything, whoops. Okay, that's good. Okay, we're back up and running. Stan from Two Rivers Observatory says, make sure everything is as tight as well. Yeah, that's a good point. I did double check it earlier. Let me check. There, it doesn't feel like there's any wind whatsoever out there, but yeah, it's only like 2 miles an hour, so that shouldn't really affect it. Okay, so you might have to again. Okay, it's getting hot in here now. Alright, slewing to Mars. It's not going to solve there anyway, so I'm going to stop that. See what we got. Wow. Surprisingly, it's not too far off. Guider going. I might have to slew back over to Pollux. Just take this line back up. More than likely my polar line. If I can get rid of this wobble, it might still be okay to track Mars. I'll have to kind of bump it anyway, because I do it on a video feed instead of just doing still images of it. Normally when I'm doing planetary, I use the ASI 174mm, which is a monochrome, but it's got a really fast frames per second rate, and that's really what you need for planetary imaging. But tonight I'm just using the ASI 183 MC Pro, which is a color camera. The bad thing about that is that I kind of lose a little bit of focal length, going from the 174 to the 183. But with Mars, you really gotta see the color. That's kind of the big part of Mars. Yeah, I think you're right, Stan. Stan says, looking at the star to the right, you still have that issue. I think that's right, because unless the guiding here is going to clear it up, there's something going on with with the mount. While this is calibrating, well, no, I was going to say I was going to go out there and double check to make sure everything is tight, but that would throw off the calibration. So, yeah, let's just see if this is going to calibrate. All right, what is our guiding? Security cam off. There's so many like deer, and there's a lot of wildlife in this area, but it's not uncommon to have deer like come like right up to the scope. They were on my front porch the other night. We had a snowstorm come through, and I guess it got them moving a little bit. But my security cam went off, and I opened it up to look at it, and there's a deer like looking right in my front door. All right, let's see what the guiding is. 0.5, 0.6. Do a quick exposure. Yeah, I can tell there's definitely still some wobble. That is really curious. This mount has been absolutely flawless, except I did see something where it would not lock onto my GPS coordinates early on, but I have not had a problem since then, so this is really strange. Well, I'll tell you what, let's look on AstroBin and let's see if people are posting some Mars images. Oh, wow. Check this one out. This was on January 8th. Wow, that is a super powerful image. That is the EdgeHD 14. Wow, that's fantastic. That's what I was hoping to get as an image like that. Well, not like that, because that is a much larger scope, but just, you know, to where you can see the polar caps and maybe the you know, a little structure there in the middle. Let's see, Grundle asks, are you using the Celestron dew ring? I am. I've got it turned down to I think it's like 10 or 20%. Let me double check that, because I do know that the dew heater ring can give you some spikes in your images a little bit. Yeah, that one's on 10%, which technically I could even turn that off, because I don't think we've got a problem with let's see, the dew point is 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and the temperature is 19 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, I should probably keep it on just in case, because that's going to get that dew point is going to get closer and closer as that temperature drops. Let's look at some other Mars images. Oh, check this out. So this was the other night when the moon occulted Mars. That is a really cool shot. You gotta love that. That was actually taken with the EdgeHD as well. Looks like they were using a 1.2, no, a 3x Barlow. Okay, I was about to say that's pretty powerful for that. Let me show you another good resource. If you haven't seen this, this is Google Moon. I should have brought this up. I should have brought this up the other night when I was doing some lunar observations. But this is such a cool resource, and this is, you know, fairly new. It's been out for a little while, but you know, all this is from this, you know, new mapping technology from these satellites and probes that we've been sending around the moon. But let's see, where is Copernicus? There we go. So we were looking at Copernicus the other night, and you could see these, like these double rings from the edge of the crater, and then the basin of the crater, and then you can also see the mountain range in the middle of that. Now look how the mountain range is kind of broken up in this one in comparison to Tycho, which Tycho is a very distinct mountain in the center of that. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. All right, so looking back at the ASI Air, yeah, the guiding is 1.2, so it's seems like it's kind of struggling here. Let me just do another test image. Yep, we still got the wobble. So, all right, I guess that's probably gonna wrap us up on that until I can get that figured out. But there was some other space news that I heard that was pretty interesting a couple of days ago. It sounds like they're going to retire the Gaia space probe. That is the mission that was basically doing these huge sky surveys of like billions and billions of stars, and it was, you know, cataloging all of these stars. It's been just operating flawlessly over the years, and apparently the fuel that they use for, you know, positioning in the Lagrange point there, it's in the L2 Lagrange point there with James Webb, I believe. So from what I understand, they're going to essentially, you know, decommission that, and I don't know if they're, you know, just going to send it off into space, or if they're going to put it into a particular orbit where, you know, maybe one day we might be able to recover it or something like that. But I really hate to see Gaia go, because it's been some really impressive data that has been, you know, coming from that mission. Let's see, Pete's astrophotography says, my seeing would never allow for images like that. Yeah, I guess you're talking about that Mars shot. Yeah, that must be, where was that shot at? This was captured from Tunis. Familiar with that. South of Arabia, Terra. Oh, that's on the planet. I'm not sure where Tunis is at. Let's see. Oh, okay. So he is in Tunisia. I do not know much about the skies of Tunisia, but they must be pretty good because that is a super sharp image, even for a even for an EdgeHD. So hats off to that, man. Hats off to that guy. Let's see if we've got. This looks like, yeah. Here's a fairly recent one. This was on January 12th. And this was taken with a Celestron EdgeHD 11. That's pretty good too. That's probably doable with with the scope that I have, especially with the Barlow on there. Looks like he was using a Teleview 2.5x Barlow. And I still have to figure out what acquisition software that I'm going to use for this. The ASI Air, unfortunately, kind of limits my frame rate a little bit. If I run it, the images directly to the onboard memory, I still get fairly good frame rates, but if I'm using something like SharpCap or Fire Capture, it really doesn't limit it because I'll be running it off like a mini PC. Let's see what else we got here. And by the way, you can also see some of my images on my main website, which is StarPath Images here. It's just starpathimages.com, and if you go to the photography samples, and then you can scroll down to the astrophotography gallery here, and there's all kinds of different stuff here. Here's some stuff from the total solar eclipse, and this was one of the shots taken in 2023 during the Ring of Fire annular eclipse. This was a shot with had a hydrogen alpha scope running, but I also had a white light filter going, and then just one camera getting like the big wide scene of everything. But this was the shot that I was going for. This was the the true Ring of Fire shot. This was actually featured on Earth Sky, on one of the Earth Sky programs. This was some of the Bailey's beads during the eclipse. What we got here? This was one of my first solar images with a hydrogen alpha scope. Learning to process solar images is really tricky. The focus is so different because the sun is so large that if you're focused on the very center point of the sun, the limbs of the sun, the edges of the sun might be slightly out of focus. So you kind of have to find like this happy medium. I'll try to focus like around the halfway point, somewhere around in there, and it's kind of a happy medium. Or you can just do shots of the prominences. You can do a composite image where you take your shots of the prominences, and then you do another shot of the face where you get like the sunspots and the filaments, and then you just combine those together. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what I did here. This was I call this totality in blue. This is from the 2024 total solar eclipse. This was the shot that I was going for. I had been looking at total solar eclipse shots online, and getting that outer corona, that kind of wispy It almost looks like hair, you know, coming off of the sun. That was the shot that I was going for, and I forgot how many images that I stacked for this. It was, I don't know, it was probably maybe a dozen images or so, and I think this was probably taken at 460 millimeters, I believe. But the processing on this was a bear. It literally took like 2 days to bring all this together. What else we got in here? There's actually another comet in the sky right now, and it's supposed to be super bright. I saw somebody talking about it today that it's probably going to be visible only for like another few days, and I can't see it here. It's just there's way too much light pollution in the direction that it's in right now. But I'm sure it would be nice to get a shot of that comet. I think they're calling it I think it's C 2024 /G3 Atlas, I believe. So that might be worth looking up, especially if you're in the southern hemisphere. That's probably worth checking out right now. Pete's astrophotography says, nice. I'm looking forward to the solar eclipses here, yes, in Europe in 2026, 27. Yeah, definitely go for it. Absolutely. And then he says, I tried to see G3 Atlas, but it was lost in my sky glow. Yeah, it's really close to the sun right now. You'd have to be, I guess southern hemisphere is going to be the best bet right now, or something like that. This was kind of an interesting shot. This was just a single excuse me. This was just a single shot of the comet, but I also captured a meteorite in it, and then over here is actually a satellite trail. So it was one of the Orionid meteors just happened to be passing through as I took this shot, and surprisingly, even with just a single exposure, I was able to capture a little bit of the anti-tail. The anti-tail, it's really kind of a bizarre phenomenon. The tail always points away from, like, wherever the sun is, the tail points directly away from the sun, but the anti-tail kind of points towards the sun. Some of the particles of the ionized gas are actually getting pulled towards the sun, you know, because the gravity is just so much stronger. But the solar wind is what kind of blows I guess you would say blows the tail away from the comet, you know, in the opposite direction of the sun. Now this is some of my planetary images. This is Jupiter, and let me see if I can zoom in on this. You can barely see, if I'm not mistaken, this is the shadow of Io right here. This was Io, and if I'm not mistaken, this was Europa that night. But that, so far, that's the only transit shadow that I've got so far. Grundle Stiltskin says, dude, your stuff is really good. Hopefully I'll get to that level. You will, just stick with it, man. And I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination. This is you know, some of my first decent planetary images from, I guess this was from last year. But yeah, planetary is very tricky. It is, I guess, aside from, you know, doing eclipses, is probably, you know, one of the hardest to really do. That, and then you've got certain deep space objects like the Cat's Eye Nebula, where it's almost impossible to just in one sitting to get the core of the nebula because it's super bright, and then the outer regions of the nebula because it's very faint, and you hardly ever see an image of the Cat's Eye Nebula that has both the bright core and also the outside kind of halo nebula. If you do see something like that on Astro, you can rest assured that was taken over multiple nights at like drastically different exposure times. But yeah, there's so many big challenges when it comes to astrophotography, and my hat's off to anybody that can really pull off major images. Like if you go to Astro and look at the here. Where is okay, here's the image of the day. So wow, that's pretty incredible. Wow, I have to admit I've never seen the Helix Nebula look like this, with that super bright red on the outside edges. He must have some immense amount of exposure time on this. He's using a Takahashi chroma filters. And it's in French. Can't read French, so. But yeah, that is truly amazing. So, let's see. I've got that shot of Jupiter, and then this is my only like decent Saturn image. Saturn is also really tough. Saturn would be so cool to image right now because the rings are almost like totally flat. Like visually, like if you're looking through a scope visually at Saturn right now, you almost can't see the rings at all because it's so flat right now. That would be really cool to get that shot. This is about as close as I could get on it right now, but I'm sure somebody with a big 14-inch EdgeHD is probably doing that as we speak. But well, guys, I guess tonight was kind of a washout, but I appreciate everybody joining in, and it's good to see Grundle Stiltskin and Pete's Astrophotography and Stan tonight. Hope you can join me again here on another live stream. I will get this mount issue figured out as soon as possible, because that's gonna absolutely drive me nuts if I can't get that figured out soon. So I know we've got some bad weather coming in, I think, this coming week, but hopefully I can still get it back up and running. So I really appreciate it, and if you want to see more content, hopefully some more successful content, subscribe and hit that notification bell to get notifications when I'm getting ready to bring up a live stream. And I'm in the process of doing better on my notifications whenever I do have a live stream coming up. A lot of times I don't know that I'm going to be streaming until just like maybe a couple hours before, so it's like this mad dash to get everything set up in time. But hopefully I'll get better at getting the the notifications out there. Doing astrophotography and live streaming at the same time is a complicated process. I always describe it like spinning a dozen plates at the same time, and sometimes it doesn't always work out, but it's still fun no matter what. So guys, I appreciate it. Thank you for joining in, and we will catch you again, and clear skies, and keep looking for that strange light in strange places.